Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you clicked on this video, it's probably because you have seen my I tried to recreate Watchtower of Turkey by Leonardo Dalessandri video. And based on this title, you know I'm doing the further breakdown of that video. So if you haven't seen that video, I would recommend you watch that first. And even before that, if you haven't seen the actual Watchtower of Turkey video, check that out too. I'll throw both of those links down in the description. So for today, I want to share three main things with you guys. First, that being how I chose to get the shots that I did, like what I was looking for when I was recording. Two, my file organization. And then three, how I actually edited the clips together and why I put them together with any effects that I may have added. So first up, that would be what I was looking for when I was recording. There was a lot. If you watch the Watchtower of Turkey video, there is a ton that you could try and recreate. But for me, a couple of main things that stood out were the varied faces, locations, and food and culture elements that were a part of that video. I wanted to try and capture similar things of Chicago. So people walking, people doing whatever they do in Chicago, the food in Chicago, and try and capture different varied people. Yeah. There were a couple unique shots from the Watchtower of Turkey video that I wanted to recreate in mine, such as the airplane transition shot in the Watchtower of Turkey. I really liked that, and as you saw, I put that into my own video because I really liked it. So when I was in Chicago, I literally spent probably half an hour at one point, or throughout the days, collectively just filming airplanes, zooming all the way in on my lens and trying to get shots that I could use to put together in my airplane sequence, as you saw in this one. So now that you kind of know some of the shots that I was looking for, we can go into how I organized them. In here we have this folder hierarchy. This is what I normally do for any project. I create a folder by the date and then the project name, which is Watchtower of Chicago here. And then within here, I have a few folders. The first one I create is called Program Files, and that contains my Premiere files, my After Effects, Photoshop, you name it. Then I have a Videos or Media folder. This will contain all of the photos, the videos, the things that I recorded. Following that, I have a Music and Sound Effects folder. And then finally, this folder setup is a little different because I shot hyperlapses. I throw those in a separate bin, as well as I recorded myself putting the video together, and I threw that into a screen record and explanation video. So in this video of me breaking this stuff down, I won't show you how I make a full-on hyperlapse, but I can show you for my pure hyperlapse, what I do is I take still images and then I use Adobe After Effects to stabilize it through 3D tracking. I can do a full video on it if you want. It's not too complicated and it creates a much better result than trying to just put the clips in there, trying to do a video, trying to do warp stabilizer. None of that is as effective as actually taking the time to do it in After Effects. The main thing that I want to share from my file organization is that when I organize my footage, I don't do it in Premiere in bins when it's a large project like this. I prefer to put it into folders on my file explorer so that when I'm looking at, say, my airplane footage, I only take the clip that I need, which in this case was this clip here, but then I took this and reversed it and used it in my video. That way I'm not dragging in, I don't even know how much footage. Let's go ahead and select, this is 70 gigs of footage right here. Yeah, so now let's go ahead and move on to step 3. This is what you guys are mainly here for, and that is my Adobe Premiere timeline. This is the full project. It is a little bit intimidating to look at if you are new to video editing. A lot of the sequences in my video are only a couple frames long, sometimes as short as only 2 frames. It's 1/12 of a second, which is super fast, but we're able to process information that quick, so it works. I'll show you how and why in a second. So When I was putting this video together, the one thing that I wanted to do that was sort of similar but different to Watchtower of Turkey was share my experience sunrise to sunset. But now it's not quite linear. I mean, it is because it's end capped by my time lapses for the sunrise and sunset, but the activities that Gabe, Lucy, Dan, and I did were not like put in sequential order in here, if that makes sense. One thing that I want to mention here, and that will come up again a lot in all of the next sequences, is when you're cutting very fast, the thing you need to keep in mind is that it's very easy to get disoriented as a viewer who is not used to knowing or seeing what the next frame will be. So I'm going to break down each shot here as to why I chose it, and then we'll move on to some of the more complicated ones. So here I start with the sunrise. I speed it up a little bit. Then here I cut to a sunrise shot. The sky is still the same color. Then we transition to the shot of a bridge that I'm going over with more orange colors in it. And so these colors are consistent in all these shots. And here I cut from these traffic light parts to these parts, or the bokeh of the cars. And then at this part, when I do a quick fade to the lights, they're yellow. I cut to this orange bit here of the railing. You don't even know what it is, but it's okay because the color matches. Then we wipe to orange of Lucy, and then we wipe to orange of the skyline, but there's blue in the sky. This allows us to transition to this orange and blue sign. Well, the sign is red, but orange and blue color here, into the blue of the water, and then finally into the pier hyperlapse. And so all of that was pretty quick cut, but then you get to be grounded and reoriented as you're watching this hyperlapse. One of my favorite transitions next is right here. This is the transition from the hyperlapse up to the airplane over to the observation deck. I'll play it real quick one more time for you. Yeah, I really love that. Let me show you how I did that. So here I have my hyperlapse, and I'm going to be looking on the Premiere timeline here, or you should be too, looking back and forth to see how I did this. So I fade in the airplane shot here. So these 3 frames are how I'm going from the hyperlapse to this airplane shot. It's very seamless. You would never know. So all of a sudden there's this airplane here that we're following, and buildings are all of a sudden all around us, which is super cool. I love that. Then I cut to this shot here of the airplane more punched in from a different shot, and then I cut to the airplane even further in, and then I fade that into the observation deck. This was done in the Watchtower of Turkey video with a bird and then someone stepping and then land. I love that shot. You saw it right there. Then we are now up at the sky, so it's a similar sort of thing. It's a transition to go, you're in the ground, you're looking up, you're up in the sky, you see the airplane, and all of a sudden you're in the sky looking down on the ground. It's super cool. I really love it. And now, again, I want to do one more quick example of choosing color and being intentional about why we put the shots next to each other. So in this clip here, I am pointing to the right. Then I have an ambulance going to the right. Now I'm going to match the color of the ambulance to the wall on the left here with the red on the side there into these shots of the bird, push in onto the birds there, then cut to the bird here. So this part I did do slow motion. See? Okay, I knew it was worth it. Then I do a bunch of fast transitions here. So this clip I sped up of this bird moving, then I do a clip of the train, only there for half a second or so, to another shot of a train, to a bunch of wipe or mask transitions. So this part here where I'm filming is at the Kinsey garage, something like that. And so there's a bunch of pillars that I'm able to wipe my camera past. So I wipe over here to this shot of the taxi where I'm looking down at the ground. I'm on like a 3rd floor or 2nd, whatever the height of the train is. Then I wipe to the ground below where I see my friend Gabe, and then this mask part is one of my favorite transitions of the whole video. And so in here, you can see Gabe with this H-line bar and lounge part there, but then you have the car pass, but now all of a sudden that bar and lounge is not there. This is actually a different clip. Even though it looks like it'd be the same because there'd just be another car in another lane, I'm masking out that car to reveal this scene of this guy looking at me. I love this shot. This is one of those like Watchtower clips where someone looks right at the camera. Then I conclude that with one more mask transition of the taxi going across to the skyline. Now I'm jumping location. So now I'm over to the bean, and this is way earlier on a different day, but it's about finding the right clips to sequence together to tell the story. So I show those buildings super tight focal length, and then I cut to those same buildings wide shot with a reflection of the bean in Chicago. And so that part right there is the final break that you can orient yourself. So I'll play it again. You'll see that that's like a lull or a pause. And then after that pause, we're going to go into a fast cut sequence of me showing that people in Chicago are always on their phones. Click, click, click. Again, after that fast pace, we have more slow, continuing the movement shots into this part up here. So now I'm on the rooftop deck of London House, Chicago. It's a really cool place. Definitely recommend you check it out. And here, again, now I'm going to try and keep pushing the momentum forward by doing some either zoom ins or scale ins in post. In, and then a transition fade down, a couple of quick cut, and then to continue building up the pace for me to then slow it down and then speed it up again. It's kind of how this works. So these are fast paced with the masking, a little bit of a break, and then a dissolve into one of my favorite parts and some of my friends, the do cut pictures of Lucy to the music. And then a fade out to the hyperlapse. So there are a ton of hyperlapses in the Watchtower of Turkey video. They're really fun to make, and I wanted to include them. In my video, what I wanted to do was use them to sort of slow down time. So, well, I mean, time is passing faster, but like it's a break in the fast-pacedness. I didn't want to quickly do a hyperlapse. I wanted to more sort of enjoy the hyperlapse, or at least have it on screen longer. So like it feels kind of slow. Although I speed ramp the hyperlapse to make it go faster, and then fade it under this bridge to the next part here, where I do a couple fades with Luma masking. I'll do a deeper explanation on the part where we are at the end shot of Gabe fading into the sunset. That's also a Luma fade. Don't worry, I'll show you how to do that. So then here, yeah, we just have some slow shots showing the peaceful part of Chicago. So now here, this is one of those things that, to make it appear cohesive, I'm now going to start building up more running fast pace. In this frame that's long and holding, we have this person running, then I cut to this person running up the stairs to the L train. Again, running, now we're at the L train, we have it going, and then here, this part, initially I just had these workers walking here, but it felt a little too slow, so I added in a couple quick shots of the Chicago theater part here, before cutting back to the train shot here. So let me show you, if I actually disable those, this is what it would look like. And like that works, but I enjoyed cutting it to the music. And then more just quick insert things. These are a couple little glitch transitions. welcome. And then as we get back to the bean, again, a similar clip. And then here, I love this fade into the train. And then here, this is where things start really ramping up to one of my favorite parts of the video to edit, but also one of the hardest. Because I only had so much footage, so finding enough for everything was kind of difficult, because I didn't want to reuse any of the same clips. So here, I have a couple shots with this one clip here. Let's hide these. So this bike clip, I just masked to this clip, which I actually didn't even end up using. I placed all of these other ones on top of it, but cutting do to the beat to build up the tension. And then we slow it back down a little bit, showing Chicago. This is one of my clips that I like a lot. It just kind of speaks a lot to Chicago. You have someone walking, spitting, running, going hey to the camera. Cut to some pigeons here to and then again, this is a Luma fade transition. So the luminance values, how it works is it affects the brightness. So certain bright parts of the footage can show through, or certain dark parts, however you choose to do it. So I chose the bright parts of this bird to flow through, and so that's how it sort of flies throughout all of those clips. And throughout all of these, I'm just kind of looking for similar colors to line up. So to another building, into someone biking on the road, then I have more buildings in the background, the train, pushing to someone going to hop onto a train, pushing to one of my favorite shots of this cop car with the sound design of the siren. So I'll play that again. So each of those, let's see how many frames that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's a third of a second for each of those. Into the fastest cut section, which is right here. We have these police people on bikes, into just a shot of a building, into another shot of a building, keeping the colors similar to now this guy on the phone, on the pier, to more skyline, similar colors from this to keep it consistent. Then cut to a bunch of little action shots that your mind can usually pick up because they're iconic and they're so zoomed in. So like coffee, Starbucks, someone again at Starbucks to keep that consistency there. Then cut to a random bridge, someone pushing something, their cart. Now we are in an Apple store, someone listening to music, to a flag, to the Chicago bus. You have colors, blue, white, red, blue, white, red. Push to a shot of the train station. You have the red of the jacket. Push into the red of the Navy Pier with the flag. And then zoom in to the Ferris wheel that's iconic, that is round, similar to the pizza that's being round. And this is where the payoff is. So wow, that was a lot. You can rewind what I just said, but it creates this edit that still is connected enough that it's not too jarring. I had to find clips that worked that way, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. This is what it looked like. So yeah, again, then it slows back down to be oriented with the pizza. It still looks cool. We have some masks, transitions. Yeah, and again, one final sequence of things cutting very fast. I wanted to show the consumerism and everyone's buying stuff, and it's all going really fast. So we have the Apple store, we have Boots, another shot of the Apple store, people walking around. We got the Cubs, we got a shot of Audrey here. Then we have Starbucks, the ambulance, into this shot of the Pepsi truck, into this wide shot here, which then I fade into a lot of people wondering how I did that. The Luma fade transition of Gabe. So yeah, let's go over that fade transition. So I'm using the Luma key effect in Premiere. So on this top layer, what I have is a keyframe for threshold and cutoff. So for these, at 100%, it looks like the clip isn't there. But then as I transition through, I make the threshold and cutoff go closer and closer to 0. And then I have a couple intermediate keyframes to sort of slow down that transition. But we can show that eventually we do get to 0, 0, which then reveals the next clip there. The other part that makes this like clip or transition look cool is I did a dolly zoom, a parallax effect, I think, whatever that's called, like in Jaws, how they have that zoom in, like the background changes. That's what I did here with Gabe 2, and it adds to it. So it's not just the Luma fade and wow, we're seeing Gabe. Then the background is moving, but Gabe is not moving, if that makes sense. It's kind of a trippy effect, but it helps add to make that part look really cool. Yeah, and then we just end with the hyperlapse, or not hyperlapse, time-lapse. I don't know how long we were there for, maybe 2 hours, so it was pretty long. I threw my camera just in shutter priority, and then let it do its thing. So as it got darker, obviously it needs more light, so then that's how it would effectively garner it, because if you just set it to one exposure, it would get way too dark or way too bright. Yeah. Well, there you go. This has been kind of a long video. The only other thing is then sound design. So I just found a whole bunch of sound effects online. That's what I've been doing lately, just because there's so many, it's easy to grab them. I want to start recording my own sound effects. I have my own library that I can use no matter what the project, because that way I don't need to deal with any licensing thing. I just record the sound and then we're golden. This video has been really long. I hope you guys got something out of it and saw my thought process of creating fast clips, slow clips, color matching. Those are like the big main ideas. I think that's gonna do it. Coming out next week, I will have some more videos. I have a bunch of ideas planned, so I'm looking forward to being able to execute on those. I want to get more content out there for you guys. So yeah, let me know if you want any hyperlapse tutorials or any more breakdown tutorials. Those were the 2 things. 3, 2, yeah, 2. Anyways, all right, that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. If you made it this long, let me know. Peace.